Hey, this is Brad Gill at NextHome Lifestyles, aka Broker Brad, and I'm back with another real estate Q&A. This time answering a burning question that a lot of buyers have this time of year, which is, how do I make my offer stand out in a really strong seller's market? It's currently February 2022, and it is a ferociously strong seller's market out there. A seller's market is defined when there's less than 6 months supply of housing on the market available for buyers to purchase. Currently, our market has less than 30 days worth of inventory. So, as you can imagine, especially if you're a buyer in this current market who's tuning into this video in order to find out some ways to make your offer stand out, you know that the competition is fierce. Buyers are definitely feeling the pressure of having far too few homes on the market available to purchase, as well as risk of rising interest rates and how that's also affecting their overall mortgage payment and making the cost of purchasing a home even that much more expensive. So, it's my hopes today to provide you guys with some ideas that can help you craft a stronger offer the next time you're up against multiple offers and competition. As you already know, I'm a real estate agent here located in San Jose, California, and I'm serving both buyers and sellers here in the greater Silicon Valley region. Being active in this market means that I've got some great insights to share with you about how a home seller measures offers in a multiple offer situation, as well as what's most important to them when choosing an offer, and more importantly, how we can use that knowledge and give you some actual practical tips that you can use to help improve the chances of your next offer. So let's dive right in. So we're gonna start off by talking about some common seller myths. It's important that we dispel these myths in order to help you, again, prepare a better offer and be prepared to make an offer. So number one, most common myth is that sellers will always accept the highest offer price. Guys, it's just not true. They're not always going to be accepting the highest offer price. How come? How come a seller is going to leave some money on the table? Well, because the highest offer is not always the strongest buyer. There's a lot of other additional factors behind the price that the seller needs to measure. What's more important to a seller than just getting the highest price is also selecting the buyer that's going to give them the most certainty that that buyer is going to close escrow according to the terms of the offer that they receive. So, if the highest priced offer has appraisal contingencies, low down payments, or other factors that could suggest there could be trouble along the way if a seller would accept that offer, it may likely get rejected or countered by the seller. Don't always feel like if you're not the highest price, you'll never have a chance. Just not true. So you can use that to tweak some of your other terms to make your offer more appealing. More on that later. Myth number two, sellers are obligated to provide a buyer with a counteroffer. Same thing, it's just not true, guys. A seller has no obligation. They have no obligation to give a counteroffer out. They have no obligation to accept an offer. They have no obligation to respond to an offer, unfortunately. It makes our job, representing buyers, very hard to do and tough to explain to our clients. But in reality, a seller has the ability to decide if and who they're going to end up selling their property to. So if you go into a multiple offer situation expecting that the seller is going to give you another opportunity or that they have to give you a counter offer, if your price isn't as high as where the seller wants it, it's not going to happen. So make sure you use that information as well going into the offer process to make sure you're best positioned given what you're comfortable offering. Popular myth number three, once a seller accepts an offer from another buyer, there's no chance left for anyone else. And again, that's just not true. So what do you mean? Once a seller accepts an offer, another buyer could potentially have their offer accepted too? Yes, and the reason being is because this market is moving so fast and furious that buyers do get cold feet. So believe it or not, 10 to 15% of all contracts that are currently accepted by sellers end up falling out of escrow because the buyer changes their mind or they're unable to meet the terms they agreed to in the offer. So again, additional information to know so that going into that multiple offer process, you're better prepared. So now that we have the inside track on exactly what motivates a seller to accept an offer, let's discuss those practical tips that you can use to your advantage in crafting your next offer. Number one, it's always a must to be fully approved for purchase financing. When I say fully approved, that doesn't mean pre-approved. And that definitely does not mean pre-qualified. There's a major difference between all three. Pre-qualification guys, if you have a pre-qualification, it doesn't mean anything. It's not even worth the paper it's written on. If you have a pre-approval, you're one step closer, but nothing's gonna give you, as well as the seller, the cozy, comfortable feeling of knowing that your loan application has already been fully underwritten and approved by the bank in which you hope to receive financing. That goes a long way in building additional certainty with the seller because he can count on the fact that your finances and everything you provided have already been triple checked by underwriting and is highly likely to close escrow. Tip number 2, get comfortable removing contingencies in your offer. I know, that's crazy talk, right? Contingencies are there in the contract to protect you as a buyer. We're not suggesting you put yourself in a position that's going to create more peril. It's up to you and the agent that's helping advise you whether or not you feel comfortable removing certain contingencies, but it's something that you should start a discussion with your real estate agent about to determine when and what contingencies, if any, you should consider removing in order to make your offer more attractive to the seller. Because there are more important things to a seller than just price. With that also being said, this also means that you should be working with your real estate agent in order to research the property ahead of time. Make sure you've gone through all the comparables, make sure you have an idea of what the property is likely to appraise for and where you should be purchase price wise. In addition, make sure you've gone through all the reports and disclosures. Review everything ahead of time so that you know without a doubt if you have to remove a contingency to be competitive, that you're super comfortable with the current condition of the home and everything that's been disclosed by the seller. Okay, tip number 3, ensure you have enough financial strength to cover an appraisal gap. We just shot another real estate Q&A that was all about the appraisal gap and understanding what it is. Make sure you watch that video. But the basics of what we're trying to get at here is make sure you know the difference between where you're writing your offer price at and where the last recent sale closed, because there could be a gap that you're gonna have to make up financially with additional funds out of your savings, out of your retirement, wherever. So make sure you're doing a financial audit with your real estate agent as well as your lender to make sure, again, that you're financially ready and able to make up any appraisal gap if that were to happen. Tip number 4, discover the seller's preferences for offer terms. The seller does have certain preferences they're looking for when they're selling a house. If a seller is still occupying a property, they may want extra time after escrow closes. They may prefer to have what's called a seller rent back. Now, you're not obligated to do it, but it is something that, if you include it in an offer, could be enough to push your offer towards the top. Another seller preference could be when the owner's already moved out of the property. In that instance, a seller may prefer to have a shorter close of escrow. They're definitely not going to need a rent back because they've already moved out. So instead of offering a 30-day close of escrow, if you've already been fully approved, you should be able to offer a much more competitive closing time period. Maybe as little as 3 weeks, 21 days, or 25 days. Every day is a difference for a seller as they're still paying the housing expense for the property in question. Okay, moving on to tip number 5, and the most important tip, have an offer strategy ready. So make sure that you talk to the agent you're working with about what is our offer strategy. Are you going in with your highest and best offer? Or do you still believe that the seller is obligated to give counteroffers? Because again, that's just not the case. Also, are you willing to be a backup offer in the event that there's a 10 to 15% chance that the offer that is accepted does end up falling out of contract? That's been one way that we've been able to help our clients get into contract on properties where we're not the highest offer the first time around. But again, there is a higher prevalence that offers are falling apart. So be sure that your agent talks to you about smart ideas that you can do to include in an offer strategy to make your offer not only more appealing to a seller, but make it stand out. We also have another real estate Q&A video that you can watch where we talk all about different strategies you can include in your offer. With that, I hope you're able to get some practical tips and use them to help improve your chances of getting your next offer approved in another multiple offer situation. In our area, at least, here in the Silicon Valley, it's definitely going to continue to be a very competitive seller's market for as far into the future as we can see. So be sure you've gone through these practical tips, work with your real estate professional. If you're looking for a home in our area, please feel free to give us a call. We love the opportunity to tell you all about how to put these practical tips and strategies to work for you. I'm Brad Gill with NextHome Lifestyles. Thanks again for watching. If you guys love this content, you want more of it, be sure to subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time.